every major organization that if that is being compromised, it could bring an entire company to its knees. We are talking about the keys to the kingdom, the very identity of an organization digital world, and the favorite for all the attackers. That's nothing but the Active Directory. All right, let's kick things off and understand what exactly this Active Directory is. So, in simple terms, AD is a directory service developed by a Microsoft for Windows domain networks. Think of it as a massive organized phone book and a security guard for your entire IT infrastructure. It stores information about users, computers, printers, and other network resources. That makes it very easy for administrators to manage the permission, access, and overall security posture. Now, you will often hear the term which is on prem and the cloud AD. It is very simple. What it means is that AD, when it is under on prem, the AD servers are physically located within your organization, own data center, or office. So you own and manage all the hardware and the software. That is why, in the security domain, on prem has been considered a very secure option for all the companies. But what about the cloud? Well, services like Azure Active Directory offer a cloud based identity and access management system. So while they share the Active Directory name, there are key differences. So Azure AD is more focused on managing access to the cloud application and services, whereas traditional on-prem AD is your go-to managing resources with your local network itself. Now, many organizations use a hybrid approach, synchronizing their on-prem AD with Azure AD for seamless access across both the environments. So, before understanding about the Active Directory, we must need to know what exactly the components or the building blocks of the Active Directory. The very first, the domain. Imagine a domain as a logical grouping of network resources. It can be users, computers, and other devices that share a common database or a common security policies. It's the primary administrative unit in an Active Directory. For example, your company might have a domain like xyz.com. That's your domain. Simple. Next is the domain controller. This is a server that runs the Active Directory domain service, which is often known as ADDS role. Now, it's the central hub that stores a copy of the domain database and handles all the authentication and authorization requests. So, when you log in into your computer at work, it's the domain controller that is verifying your credentials. Next is the objects. Everything in Active Directory is an object. A user account is an object, a computer account is an object, a printer, a group, you name it, everything is considered to be an object. Now, each object has a unique attribute that define it, like a username, email, or a computer operating system. So imagine there's only one object. For every single object, there will be multiple attributes. Next, the organization unit. Think of an organization unit as a folder within a domain. They allow you to create a hierarchical structure to organize your objects, which is users, computers, and groups. For easier management, let's say for example, you might have organization unit for different department like sales, IT, HR, etc. This is incredibly useful for applying a specific group policy to a specific set of users or a computer without affecting the entire domain. That is really amazing. Next is the tree. When you have a multiple domain that share a contiguous DNS space, when meaning they have a common root domain name. They form a tree. For instance, let's say sales.yourcompany.com or and marketing dot yourcompany.com. That could be a part of yourcompany.com domain. Now, domain within a tree automatically trust each other. How it helps is it simplifies resource sharing. The next is the forest. Now, this is the largest logical container in Active Directory. Is the forest. Now, what is exactly the forest is? It is a collection of one or more Active Directory trees that shares a common schema, configuration, and a global catalog. All domain within a forest implicit trust each other, allowing for seamless communication and resources access across the entire organization. Even if they have a different top level domain names, that does not affect the forest. Next is the schema. The schema is the blueprint of Active Directory. It defines all the object classes like users or computers and their attributes like username or a password that can exist in the AD database. It is essential the rules and the structure that govern what information can be stored in Active Directory. Next is the global catalog. There's a special role that a domain controller can hold. A global catalog server stores a partial read only copy of all objects in all domains within the forest itself. This allows users to quickly find the resources anywhere in the forest without knowing which domain the resource resides in. Now, it's a very crucial for efficient searching and logon processes. Last but very important is the trust. Trust are a relationship established between the domains in a forest or even between domain in a different forest that allow users in one domain to access resources in another domain. And this is how users in domain A.com can access a file share in domain B.com because they hold the trust relationship between these forests. And how does they do it? On the basis of the policies. Now we need to understand why Active Directory is so important in cybersecurity. So the very first thing is the identity and access management. AD is the backbone of IAM for many organizations. It controls who can access what, when, and from where. Next is the authentication. When you log in, AD verifies your identity. Authorization. Once authenticated, AD determines what resources you are allowed to access. That is your authorization. Third, centralized management. It specifies the management of users, groups, and devices, making it easier to enforce all of the security policy within. Next is the attack surface. Now, because it holds so much critical information and the control access, the Active Directory is a prime target for attackers. Understanding its structure and common attack vector and the AD related cyber attacks like Kerberos roasting, golden ticket, or pass the hash is a fundamental for any cybersecurity professional. We will be going to cover this attacks in the upcoming videos and we will see how the actual AD related attack works. Now, this was just the surface that we have touched upon, but I just wanted to familiarize these terms before jumping into the actual attack working related to the AD. So, as you delve deeper, you'll explore more and we'll learn more about the GPOs, which is group policy objects. Now, these are the powerful tools for applying security setting, software deployments, and other configuration across your network. ADFS, which is Active Directory Federation Service, for a single sign on with external applications. Let's say, for example, PowerShell for AD administration They are doing an automation task and managing AD for more efficiently working. And there you have it. It's a whirlwind tour of Active Directory from its basic concept to its critical role in cybersecurity. Now, remember one thing: AD is the backbone of many corporate networks, and a solid understanding of its component and function is very essential for anyone in the cybersecurity. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more cybersecurity insights, and let me know in the comments what are the topics you would like me to cover. This is Locksmith signing off.